Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Wisdom Work with Christa and Christy. My name is Christy McCaffrey, and I'm here with my co-host, Christa Manti.
Hi, everyone.
Hey. So we are here to share with you today some healthful holiday tips. On this episode, we're going to go much deeper than just what's on your plate this holiday season. Health and well-being are obviously enhanced by eating a diet rich in nutrition, but that's just the starting point. There are many other aspects to health that we often overlook. So today we're going to talk about preparing your emotional and physical body for gatherings. We're going to talk about what we put into our bodies, trusting and listening to our bodies, enjoying food mindfully, exercise, sleep, and many other awesome tips that our resident health and wellness expert, Christa Manti, has to share with us today. So Christa, we are here to learn from your wisdom and all the things that you have acquired in your lane and your field of work that really will help prepare us heading into this holiday season, not just mentally or physically, but also just emotionally. And how can we get ourselves ready to take on this holiday season that oftentimes is a very stressful time for most people? So go ahead and start us off on our first topic here.
Yes. Well, thanks so much for the intro, Chris. That was awesome. And I think when you said I have so much wisdom, I'm putting it right back in everybody's lap. All the listeners, you have the most wisdom about your own body. And that's one of the things I learned as I was studying for my holistic certification, is that everyone has their own bio-individuality. So what works for me isn't going to work for you, and what works for you isn't going to work for me, typically. So listening to your body, we're going to talk a lot about that. We've already talked a lot about intuition and listening inwardly for other things, and food's no different. So, and the holiday season and the people you're going to be around and the parties and the gatherings, listening to what feels good for you and staying in your body, because your body doesn't lie. So really trusting that and starting at home when you're not around a ton of energy. When you're by yourself, start listening to those cues, listening to what your body's feeling like for breakfast, or what it feels like when you first wake up in the morning, or if you're feeling stiff, or if you're feeling achy. Do some simple stretches, like giving your body those things that you know you need. That's a really beautiful way to start the process of listening to your body, because a lot of people get confused of when I say, well, what does your body say, or how does your body react to that? It takes practice to listen to that. So I think, starting in the beginning of this month, to do this practicing listening and to really ground into what your body is calling for, whether it's the outfit you're going to wear that day or what you need to put into your body as far as food or drink go. If you want something cold or hot, if you want a cold beverage or a hot beverage, if you want frozen blueberries or fresh blueberries, like all these little tips and tricks that you can do with your body, that will start the dialogue. And then you'll learn to trust, and the voices will get stronger.
Yeah. And I love that you always kind of bring us back to this place of talking about like how we can have the conversation with our own body about the choices that we want to make, because it sounds so simple and maybe even like, I don't want to say foolish, but like, oh, really? I have to like think about whether I want frozen or fresh blueberries. Like, why does that matter basically? But I think that it basically, when you start to pay attention to those smaller things, it becomes kind of a ripple effect outward into the rest of your life. And you are more easily can communicate with yourself about like how you're feeling in certain situations too, like it isn't just as simple as what food do I feel like eating right now, but also like when you're in those stressful situations in these holiday gatherings, I know many people have told me when this conversation comes up that they feel like they stress eat in holiday, right? And like in a holiday situation with certain family members, or, that kind of, they choose things that they wouldn't normally choose because either they feel pressured to, or they feel like they're just stressed and they need to do something. So then they overeat. Can we kind of talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think you can loop in alcohol with that too. I mean, the anxiety, it's this anxiety that is in our bodies that we're not comfortable with. So we want to numb, which is it's a survival trait. So it's okay. It's okay that you do that, but learning other ways that isn't harmful to you is better. So taking a deep breath, that can just soothe your body. The deep breathing, the long exhales stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest. The inhales stimulate the sympathetic nervous system, which creates energy. It gives us that jolt. So doing deep breathing. I mean, breath work is powerful. So there are tons and tons and tons of breath work techniques that you can look on YouTube or Google. I mean, there's a lot that you can work with there. If you have high blood pressure, I do recommend consulting your doctor before starting any breath work or deep breathing type of meditations, because if you're on any medications or if you have high blood pressure, this can be so powerful that you may need to alter the medication that you're taking. So I've seen this with clients and people that have the people that have just done our meditation challenge, Chris. I heard from one mom who was pregnant. Her blood pressure was really high one night and she did our meditation. She took it again and it lowered about 20 points on the top, the systolic blood pressure.
Wow.
So it's powerful. I mean, these simple, quote unquote, simple things that we take for granted, the listening to our bodies, the understanding what to feed our bodies, understanding how to breathe, like these are daily things that we all do, but they are so powerful cumulatively and combined over the long term. So if you are a person that's at the party where you're not feeling comfortable and you're going for the alcohol or you're going for the food, or you're using these unhealthy ways to get out of a situation that you don't feel comfortable in, start to understand that in a quiet, safe place. If you know that about yourself, then you're already aware that you do this. So let's use this holiday season as a way to practice something different. So reach out to us as always. We're here to support you in any kind of thing that you want to change in a healthy way. But some of the things that I've tried to do is feel my feet on the ground. So I typically, we were talking about this earlier, Chris, is that when I'm in a situation with a lot of people, I fly out of my body. It's very easy for my energy to go elsewhere and go into what the crowd is wanting of me or what the situation is calling of me to be or act, as opposed to feeling into my body and feeling my authentic way of being. And that's something I'm going to really work on this year, because that's new for me, to actually feel in alignment while I'm in public or while I'm with people in behind closed doors and like in the safety of my own home. And when I'm by myself, I have started that practice and I feel better about it. But then when I get into a crowd, sometimes it is very easy for me to fall out of alignment. So some of the practices I'm going to use this year are deep breathing. So breathing before, during, and after situations and events. I want to also do, and I have done this, is future self journaling. So talking to your journal, writing out, what do you want your event or your the way you're showing up to be after this event? So how did you act? How did you respond? Who did you talk to? What did you eat? You know, whatever the tricky, sticky points are for you, write it out as if you were looking back at it and the best possible scenario happened. What would that be? And write it, because that's a way of co-creating. So the other thing is, so breathing, we talked about, future self journaling, and feeling your feet. So this is a simple and powerful tool that I use a lot, especially when I'm public speaking or doing things in a big crowd where there's a lot of energy. I'm very sensitive to a lot of energy. So I feel my feet on the ground, and that has a way of just bringing my energy back into my body. We also talked about in a past episode of that point behind your navel. So behind your belly button, kind of like midway between your spine and your navel, feeling that point in your body. And that can just bring awareness and energy down into your body as well. That's your point of belonging. So how about you, Chris? I'm sure you have some techniques too to stay in your body and to stay grounded.
Well, I love the future journaling. That is like such a great idea. I've never done that. And so I'm going to take that tip with me and use that this holiday season. Because I think that, like you said, we all have these coping mechanisms, because I think social anxiety is something everybody deals with, even if you don't
Mm-hmm.
realize that you deal with it.
Yep.
And everybody has their own coping mechanism for that social anxiety. And some people don't have social anxiety maybe when they're social with friends, but then they get put in a family situation and they feel some sort of social anxiety. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that oftentimes it comes back to, we fall back on old habits and old ways of being, right? Or we show up as who we think the people in the room want us to be or expect us to be. And I think that's sort of what you were touching on when you were talking about how you kind of feel like you fly out of yourself, and you
Yeah.
start showing up as, like, you know, who you think you're supposed to show up as. I do that all the time, have done that
Yeah.
for years. And that's something that going into this holiday season, I'm also really going to try and focus on is, I think the breathing techniques and the journaling and all these kind of things are really crucial to getting your mindset right before you step into these circumstances, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
if you can identify the things that really are sticking points for you, or the people that are challenging for you to be with, or the conversations that you know are going to come up that are hard for you to have, if you can
Mm-hmm.
mentally prepare yourself for that and emotionally prepare yourself for that before it happens, you're really going to feel a lot better after the fact, because you're going to already have thought through, like, what, like you said, what is the best case scenario? What will I have wanted to have said? What will I have
Yes.
wanted to have chosen? You know, instead of
Mm-hmm.
grabbing the wine and crushing it because you're uncomfortable, or,
Yeah.
you know, heading to the appetizer table and eating way more than you plan to because you don't want to have these uncomfortable conversations, or, you know, like things like that.
Yeah.
I just think our mindset is so important. Um, and it's one of those things that I don't feel like people talk about it a lot. It's just, and it's become norm.
Yep.
We are stressed during the holidays, and certain gatherings are stressful for us, and certain things, and we just kind of accept that that's the way it has to be.
Mm.
And I think that part of what we're trying to talk about here is, if you can reframe your mindset, it doesn't have to be as stressful, right?
Right. Right.
And
I hope.
I know. And I mean, well, and that's, I think, the beauty of what we're talking about here too, is that Christa and I are doing the work right alongside you. We're giving you tips and tools. They're really just suggestions that we're offering to ourselves as well,
Yes.
and that
Yes.
we're going to try and put into practice this holiday season. And I think it'll be really fun. Maybe after the holidays pass, we can do maybe an Instagram live or something where we can kind of have a conversation with everybody about, how did it go? You know,
Oh, I would love that.
did you put these tips and tools into practice? And Krista and I will share ourselves, like, how it helped also. But I love
Yeah.
the things that you shared. And for me, I think the only other thing I will suggest is what we've already talked about in a previous episode, is that envisioning that light of protection around yourself
Mm.
before you go into any situation that you already know is going to be stressful, or you're just stressed about the unknown of the situation, or the experience. Before you go into it, envisioning yourself like surrounded in this protective white light. I mean, you can envision it however you want to. It could truly just be like, you picture this glowing warm light around you, and that is your protection. You could protect, or envision yourself being protected by angels, or, like, you know, your guardian angels, or people in your life that have passed, that you want to kind of call them into the situation to protect you. However it works for you, to feel that safety, it can be huge going into those situations, because you've already set the intention,
Mm.
um, to not feel attacked, to not feel overstressed, because you're envisioning this sort of protection around yourself. So that would be my
Yeah.
one tip, in terms of that, would be just to set that intention and to create that safe space for yourself before you go into the situations.
So beautiful. I love that tip. I really do. And I tend to forget it. So I also love the idea that in the morning, like for me, the sacred start has been huge. So before I like hit the ground running, I just do some breathing. And I remember when you were telling me about that tip, Chris, I would do that in the morning and surround myself with light, or just connect with um, my body or breath or highest self or the universe or the light, whatever you call it, God. um, that that sacred start, that way of starting your day, just sets a different pace. It really sets a different clock in your body, where you're just slower and you're more gentle with yourself and others. And I love that we talked about some preventative tips and tricks for getting into the parties, but then also when you're there, what to do. And another thing that came to mind as we're talking about this is that when you're in the situations, communicating, well, thinking about how you want to set up your boundaries with people and how you're going to respond to people, because people are people, you know, they show up the way they are. So expecting them to be different is usually setting ourselves up for failure. So having your things ready that you're going to say when people comment on something that you're not comfortable talking about, and say like, I'm not ready to talk about that, or I don't feel comfortable talking about that, or change the subject. Like having those tools too in your tool belt. But also a lot of this feels to me like we're showing up on the defensive. So to flip it a little bit, you are a gift. You in of yourself are a beautiful being of light. I want every one of us to remember this. And you are the gift that's showing up to that party. So feeling, along with the intentions of being able to, you know, volley back and forth with racist in-laws or whatever, you know, like people that you don't want to talk to, or that you're not like, they're not my people, you know, you're going to have to interact with some of these people in life. So how are you going to dance with that? So having those tools set up, that's important. But then also remembering who you are, like remembering how much of a gift your true essence is, and that people want to be around you. They want your love. They want your kindness. They want your gentleness, because everyone is suffering at some level. So just showing up with your full authentic self, knowing that everyone is hurting and everyone needs that extra dose of love, ourselves first. So doing that for yourself at the sacred start in the morning, whatever it is, it could be having your coffee in bed. It could be just taking a deep breath before you put your feet on the ground. That's an intentional breath. That could be it. It could be pulling cards. It could be praying. It could be meditating, whatever it is. Figure that out over the next couple days. Figure out what feels right for you. It could be dancing, you know, people do all different kinds of things. It could be journaling. So doing something first thing in the morning for you, so that you have that time just to cultivate that beautiful light and to harness that love and really feel that for yourself first. And then you're able to give it.
I love that. And I love that you made that important distinction of not just being on the defense, but all, you know, because that is exactly, you know, all of those things are helpful in making you feel protected. But yeah, you don't want to show up and feel like I'm here and I'm ready. I'm ready for war.
I'm armed.
Yeah, exactly. It's more so I'm just here and I'm ready to show up as my truest self. Right?
Beautiful. Yes.
All of those things that we talked about are to help prepare you to be in a space in any given situation, no matter what the stress levels are around you, where you're able to be yourself. Actually, I have to read this quote that's behind me because it's making me. So hold on. I'm going to grab it from behind me on my desk. So this is one of my favorite quotes, and it really speaks to this. So it says, peace. It does not mean to be in a place where there is no noise, trouble, or hard work. It means to be in the midst of those things and still be calm in your heart. So that's
perfect.
That's exactly it. It's, you know very well that there are many triggers that'll come up for you in family conversations or friend conversations or whatever, and all your socializing around the holidays. But if you can show up with just that calm and peace in your heart and doing all the things that, you know, Christa had suggested will help get you there, then you get to just show up as yourself, right? And enjoy your time no matter what's going on around you.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one other tip I wanted to share while you were talking. I remembered it, that our girl, Gabby B, Gabrielle Bernstein, one really important tip that I've taken from her, it was in one of her talks years ago. She says, basically, like when you're an oversharer, right? Or when your anxiety gets the best of you. I know Christa's raising her hand and I'm raising both of my hands. That we sometimes, like, your anxiety gets the best of you when you're in situations where like you don't feel uncomfortable. And then all of a sudden you start like dumping, like you just start sharing way more information than you need to, or talking and talking and talking and talking. You're like, I don't even know why I'm talking. And then when I leave those scenarios and I've done that, I have this like incredible guilt and like gross feeling of like, why did I
Mm-hmm.
just say all that? Right.
Yes. Oh,
But
I know it too well.
here's what Gabby says. She says, say to yourself, right, when you start to feel yourself getting into that like mode and you realize that it's happening, again, awareness is key, because you have to kind of catch yourself in the act. And then you have to stop and say to yourself, wait, why am I talking?
Yeah, I love
Right?
that.
Ask yourself, why am I talking? Because a lot of times, whatever you're saying doesn't need to be said
No,
necessarily, right? And
no.
you can then like rein it back in and say like, okay, I guess, I can kind of stop and shift and, direct the conversation in a different way, or change the subject or whatever, before you go down this path of like spilling.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
or sometimes we think we just need to say something, right? We have to talk.
Mm-hmm.
You don't always have
Mm-hmm.
to have something to say, like
Yeah,
it's okay to kind of just sit in the conversation quietly, and or instead try to listen. And I think that's something that I'm going to try and do more of this holiday season too, is less talking, more listening, because I
I
am
love
just
that.
incredibly guilty of, I get anxious, or I get,
Yeah.
I get in these spaces where I think I just have to say something. And then I find myself talking for 20 minutes about God knows what. And I'm like, why are you talking? What are you saying? So that's another tip I want to throw out there. Wait, why am I talking? So it's like,
Yeah, I love that
stop,
acronym.
ask yourself, do I really need to be saying all that I'm saying right now? Or am I just sitting in this like defense mechanism of,
Yeah,
reacting to my own anxiety? So,
right.
aside from the mindset stuff, I want to jump in a different lane here, because we have you as our expert, and I don't want to lose any of this wisdom that you can pass on to us in terms of like the actual things we're putting into our bodies. So
Yes.
let's talk about, your take on kind of like the things that we're drinking, also just like trusting and listening to our body, and how we can enjoy food a little more mindfully. Can you tell us
Yeah.
about that?
Oh, well, this is one of my favorite topics to talk about. So I would love to. And I think there's so much here that we can unpack, which we don't have time for today, but definitely contact us if you are looking for more support in this area, because I know it's a struggle for a lot of us around emotional eating, or the sweets, or the alcohol, or just the food in general. People are confused. That's what I see a lot of. It's just this incessant confusion, because the science is changing at such a rapid speed. There's so many trending things happening around nutrition and diet. Everybody's trying to look differently. So right now I'm actually enrolled. I'm taking a course called Intuitive Eating with the founder, Evelyn Tribble. I'm not sure how you say her last name, but she's phenomenal. And she is teaching me so much about unlearning the things that I have been taught around nutrition and weight loss. So it's really interesting. So I'm definitely going to create an offering about this when I'm done the course, because it's fascinating. So for any of you that are interested, please get her book, Intuitive Eating. I think she has like 4 or 5 different editions. She keeps iterating them and making them better and better. So she's very, very keen on the science, which I love. So she talks a lot about the data and how to listen to your body. And that's all that we talk about on wisdom work, is listening inwardly, stopping the noise externally of what we should eat, of what we should be drinking, of what has less calories, what has less sugar, just stopping all that for a moment, listening to what your body wants. And then my whole thing is give your body the highest form of that food, or the highest quality of that food, because that's a gift. Feeding and nourishing yourself is a beautiful gift that you give yourself 3 times a day or more. So thinking about what kinds of foods you're eating, and what types of ingredients you're putting into your food and into your family's bodies, that's a source of nourishment and love. So thinking about the energy, if you're bringing food to a gathering, Think about the mood you're in when you're cooking. Are you stressed? Are you nervous? Are you anxious? Are you mad? Are you angry? That's all going into the food. So shift it. Do a dance break. Do a dance break with your family in the kitchen, and shift your mood into something that's much calmer and happier and of enjoyment, because that's what's going to be in the food. So energetics of food are some of my favorite things to talk about. But also, there's the staying hydrated is a big one around the holidays and every day. But I notice a lot of people when they're dehydrated, and the hydration recommendations, does anybody know how much we should be drinking each
No,
day?
tell us.
So it's a lot. It's half of your body weight in fluid ounces. So for a 200-pound person, that's 100 fluid ounces of water each and every day. So it's a lot of water. A lot of people are missing the mark. And I've talked to a lot of clients that say, I'm only drinking 16 ounces. Like, how could I ever get to the recommended amount? And I just say, start small, do another water bottle or whatever feels realistic to you next, and then keep bumping it up little by little. But the the most important thing is in the morning, we're the most dehydrated. That's why everyone weighs themselves. So that's when I recommend drinking either a big glass of warm water with lemon, or just plain water, or you can infuse it with different herbs like rosemary or thyme and lemon, lime, whatever you like. But get that down, because what happens when you're fully hydrated, your body can get the nutrition from the food to the different organs, cells, and tissues that need that nutrient, because water is the main transport system in the body. So not only does it transport the nutrients, but it also helps to curb our sweet cravings. It helps us stay regular, and it helps with energy. So plus skin and all kinds of benefits, but it will dramatically impact your health. I had one client in Arizona one time who told me he was only drinking 8 ounces of water a day. And this was an adult male, so probably over 150 pounds. So his needs were very much, he was needing way more. Plus he was in a dry climate. So our next call, I told him, the goal that he had set was just to double it. So he was going to do 16 ounces. I talked to him the next week or 2 weeks later. And I said, oh, how'd you do with the water? Did you drink your recommended 16 ounces? And he goes, Christa, I feel euphoric. He's like, I have never felt better. I didn't know how much water made an impact on my mood and on my health. Like, it was just incredible to him. So again, these simple things that we really overlook because they're just simple. We don't read about them. They're not advertised. We don't see commercials about this. So, just remembering these things, and every one of you listening, I know knows this, this is not rocket science. So flooding your body with fruits and vegetables can help with the nutrient density. So I love green smoothies, as you know, that's like my fast food. So having some greens and some fruit and throwing that all in with some water in the blender, having that to offset some of the other stuff that we may be indulging in on the holiday season, which is totally fine. I want people to indulge. Like, I want people to enjoy their foods that they've been looking forward to all year long. So I don't talk about deprivation. I don't talk about counting calories. I don't talk about restriction, because I want it to be, you're celebrating your life. Food is a big form of celebration. It's a way that we gather as a community. It's a way we gather as family and friends. So it's a big part of our lives. And I never, ever want there to be a negative association with food, or the food police or any of that kind of stuff. So I talk to clients about thinking about what they're looking most forward to, and then planning ahead, like you talked about, thinking about what's going to be at the party, or what are you looking forward to eating or drinking, and planning for it. So saying like, okay, I'm going to have one. For me, it was on Thanksgiving, we went to our friend's house, and the signature drink was Negronis. I've never had a Negroni, so I was so excited about Negronis, and I had been like doing research, and I was really excited and looking forward to it. So I knew that that's what I was going to drink. And then so I had that in my mind. I had it and I loved it, and I savored it, and one of my friends made it for me. So it was just so fun. Like, it was just really, it felt like very mindful and very, all of me was into it. because I've been looking forward to it. So you could do that too with food. And of course, all the food on Thanksgiving was delicious too, like the turkey and all the things I was looking forward to eating. So, so thinking about that, thinking about what you enjoy, what are you looking forward to? It could be cookies, it could be the actual meals, it could be apps, like whatever you love about the holidays, enjoy those foods. But when you're at home or when you're not at parties, think about how you can flood your body with good stuff, with the healthy, not good, I shouldn't say good or bad, but nutrient dense foods like fruits and vegetables, lots of color. So this is another high recommendation. Do we know how many fruits and vegetables we should be getting?
No, we don't. Tell us, Christa.
For people in the back. So it's 7 to 13 servings a day.
Wow.
Which is crazy, right? Like
That's
7 to
a
13.
lot.
So a serving is about the size of your fist. So again, for smaller people, your fist size is smaller. For bigger people, it's bigger. So you need more if you're a bigger person. And the green smoothies are a great way to get this in, because you just fill that blender with packed with nutrient dense fruits, vegetables, water. It's a great way to just get it into your kids, into your bodies. It's cold and flu season also, so these are great immune boosters, natural immune boosters. In the morning, you could do some ginger with lemon also. That helps with digestion. It helps with immune health. So lots of good things. We are going to put some bonus supplements that I recommend in the show notes. So that can also be a really good way to boost your immune system and just connect more with your body and your health during this holiday season.
Oh, that you hit us with gems of wisdom there. That's awesome. I mean, I love that. And Christa and I talked about this as we were preparing for this topic, that we really are huge advocates for balance and wellness, right? So just like Christa said, like, she's not talking about counting calories. She's not talking about deprivation. She's talking about enjoying your life. She's talking about enjoying the food that you love. For me, over the years, this has really been, it's taken me time to figure out how to incorporate a more balanced perspective. But now that I've gotten there, I must say that, like, I enjoy the best of both worlds in terms of eating good things, that good meaning they taste delicious and they might not be that great for me. And I now really know and appreciate, like that guy was saying, the euphoric feelings you feel when you really are giving your body what it needs and wants. And so it's just a matter of finding that balance. Like, I love to cook, and sometimes I'm cooking healthy meals. Sometimes I'm cooking super comfort meals that aren't that healthy. But I want to enjoy my life in that way. And food is a great part of my family. It's a huge part of my relationship with my husband. Like, he does the barbecue situation and I cook, and we're both very into it. And that's kind of like our love language is food, you know? And it's so important, especially around the holidays, that like these meals are traditional, and these meals bring back so many memories and feelings, and or even like you were talking about that signature drink, like that's so fun and so exciting, and you're with your friend and your friend made it. So not depriving yourself of any of those things to quote unquote have a healthy holiday season, right? It's more about put some extra emphasis on all these other tips that Christa just told you about, like hydrating and the extra fruits and veggies, and, you know, put a lot of focus on that during the times that you're not in these celebration situations, right? Or these holiday gatherings. And then you can show up to the gatherings, you know, like I love that you said, have a plan before you go in. And then, you know, there's no guilt involved, and you don't leave feeling like I shouldn't have eaten that, or tomorrow I've got to burn all that off. Right. That's, I want you to get into exercise next, because I think that's an important thing to talk about. But before you do, I wanted to mention, when you were talking about water, for any of you listening on Christa's coast, you're going to be talking about water. Here in Philadelphia, I'm talking about water.
Over the years, I hadn't changed that. You know why? Because another client was like, "What did you just say?" Because I told telephonic, and I was like, "How much water do you drink each day?" And she goes, what? Like, was so upset at the way I pronounced it. It was hilarious. So
When I
I don't want
was
to forget my roots.
when
Water.
I moved to California, my husband and I lived there for a year as a point of reference, like 10 years ago. And I was working at a hair salon and I was shampooing a client's hair. And I said, like, is the water temperature okay? And this was on Berkeley's campus in Northern California. And she was like, I'm sorry, what? I said, the water temperature, how's the water temperature? And she said, I don't know what you're talking about. And like that, same thing, it clicked. I was like, oh, the water, how's the water?
Yeah.
So anyway, Christa and I, in our hearts, we say water, but
That's right.
I even find myself saying water more often too. But what I was going to say is that I recently decided that I wanted to get some more hydration going for myself on a daily basis. So you may have seen these on Instagram or wherever, these enormous jugs that have like encouraging phrases at every hour. So it goes from like 7 a.m. to like 9 p.m. I think.
That's hilarious. I've seen those.
And it says like, you're almost there, keep going, whatever. It sounds so cheesy. And this thing came in the mail and I ordered it on Amazon and it was 3 times the size that I thought it was. So my kids joke that it's my 4th child because I literally hold it like on my hip like a toddler. It's enormous. But I have committed myself, at least during the week. On the weekends, it's a little harder for me because I'm in and out of the car and running the kids to things. And we all know if you drink more water, that means you're running to the bathroom every 5 minutes, especially for me because that's just me anyway. But if I commit to it, I'm drinking like it's a gallon of water.
Yeah.
And I feel incredible. I'm not kidding you. That guy is absolutely right when he said euphoric. Like it's wild how much different your body can feel and your mind and it's everything. Like you just feel clearer. You feel overall like amazing when you're getting tons of water in your system. So I just wanted to give a personal note on that because I agree. I think it really can make such a huge difference. And
that's so awesome.
I would look on Amazon and get this thing because I'm telling you, it has held me to.
It'll be in the show notes.
It'll be in the show notes, exactly. And so let's get into exercise because I want you to tell us what your tips are in terms of that, like especially around the holidays. And finding balance when it comes to that.
So I love this. It goes so hand in hand. I mean, I had one teacher in my holistic training. It said, if you have diet without exercise, it's like clapping with one hand. Like you need both all the time, right? Like all the time. We need to move our bodies. We need to eat all the time. So what do you do that you love to do? Like, how do you move your body in a way that you love, that you enjoy? So do that. I mean, do it as much as possible. If you love to walk, walk. If you love to do yoga, do yoga. If you love to dance, dance. If you love to jump on the bed, jump on the bed. Like whatever it is, you do what you love to do. That's what your body wants. It wants movement. You don't have to, obviously I'm not a trainer, so find somebody that is experienced as a exercise professional if you want specific plans or help around the plans. But I think any way you can connect with your body in a way that's nourishing and that you feel good, do it and do it more. So that's kind of my tips and tricks. I also think that the exercise is a great way to connect with friends and family. So going for a walk instead of meeting up for a drink or coffee, going outside for a brisk walk or meeting at a beautiful area. I remember when I lived in Delco, it was Ridley Creek. We would go to Ridley Creek all the time. I loved walking there. So, trying to get outside, getting the fresh air in nature is also great for your health and well-being. It just is a beautiful way of grounding us into our true selves, being in nature. So whatever it is for you, whether it's, going to classes or finding outdoor activities, and it can be really unique things that you don't feel like are exercise. So don't discount things that you enjoy doing that may not look like traditional exercise. I had a client that she just loves dancing. So she would go downstairs. She made a playlist for herself. She'd go in her basement and she would just dance for a half hour and told her husband, like, watch the kids. I got to go work out. And that was her workout. And I'm like, good for you. Like, you're
I
still
love
moving your
that.
body. You're doing what you got to do for your body. So it helps people that don't like to exercise. I think it's a smoother way to get into it, because the more you move your body, the more you feel empowered, the more energy you have. So the whole wellness umbrella, I always say, is like, it's either a spiral upward or a spiral downward. Like, if you're not getting the right foods in your body, you're going to have low energy, which means you're not going to want to work out. You're going to have poor sleep. If you are putting the right foods in your body, you're staying hydrated, you have nutrient dense diet, you are exercising because you have a ton of energy. The exercise is making your body stronger, which is giving you even more energy, and naturally fatiguing you, which is giving you better sleep. So it's like, and when you're feeling better, you have better relationships, right? Like, if you're moody and you're not feeling good, you're going to show up not yourself, so don't do that to yourself or others. Like, it is a priority to take care of yourself, and not in a guilt-stricken way or a shaming way. It's like, take this as an opportunity. Take every meal as an opportunity to give yourself the best possible food you can.
Let's talk lastly about sleep. So, how important is sleep in general, but also how important is sleep around the holidays? And, we have so much more energy leaving our bodies. How do we kind of recoup?
Yeah, great question. And sleep is so important for any mom who's postpartum or has experienced that. We know the impact of sleep. I I remember talking to our pediatrician after Damon was born, and I said, I am in wellness. I do all the things that I know I'm supposed to do, except I haven't slept more than 90 minutes in a stretch for like months, maybe a year at that point. And I said, it's out of control to me how much sleep impacts me and my health. Like, I couldn't believe it, because I always slept. I was never had a problem sleeping. I have a lot of clients that had trouble sleeping. So a few ideas: if people are fine with sleep, just aim to get to bed early during the holiday season. And plus, for immune health, I mean, everyone's trying to stay healthy, right? Around the colds, the flus, the COVID. So trying to get to bed earlier, whatever time you're going to bed, just take it down by an hour each night until you feel like it's a good cadence for your lifestyle. I usually aim to get to bed by 10. So if I'm in bed by 9:30, I'm just kind of winding down, and then I'm asleep by 10. That would be ideal. Typically it's 11, but we try. So a couple ideas for people that do have trouble sleeping. I always talk about doing some breath work or meditation at night, just to wind the body down. The lights go off, the mind goes on. That's what I always think. It's like, all the things we didn't get to, all the things we have to do tomorrow, they just come as they flood our brains as soon as we shut the lights off. So just being aware of that, having maybe a notepad next to your bed, jotting down things that you really can't forget. Obviously, people know just to keep the blue light down, or use blue light glasses to keep that from filtering into your brain, because the melatonin release is a hormone that's released in darkness that stimulates sleepiness. So that's getting all whacked with people just being around screens all the time. So getting out in nature during the day, getting sunlight, can help you lock back into the circadian rhythms of the universe. So trying to get back into more of a natural rhythm with your sleep patterns of getting sunlight during the day when it's light, and then when it's dark, kind of limiting the amount of screen use, or putting blue lights on so that you're blocking the light from your phones and your tablets. So the other thing too, emotionally, is keeping a gratitude journal next to your bed. So writing out at least 5 things you're grateful for that happened to you that were specific to that day. So a lot of people will do, my friends, my family, my health, like the general things, but specific to that day can make a huge difference in how you feel going to bed. When you recap your day, I remember we were learning this at the Chopra Center. We went to this meditation retreat when we first started dating, John Paul and I, and it was like 12 years ago. And I remember them saying the importance of recapping your day, because what happens is you look for what went well, and that will help you to feel better about the day, because typically we'll ruminate over what didn't go well, or we'll have anxiety about why did we say that, or why didn't we talk to that person, why didn't we call that person back, or whatever it may be that is not well. But thinking about what's going well, or what did go well, or what you're grateful for, or what you appreciate. And John Paul and I have done this too for our relationship around your partner, like telling your partner 5 things you appreciate about them at the end of each day can also be a little boost in your cultivating more fondness and admiration in your relationship. But keeping a gratitude journal next to your bed, writing out 5 things you're grateful for, can be a really nice way to, like I said earlier, stimulate that parasympathetic nervous system with rest and digest, and just breathing a little deeper, knowing that you're safe. That's another thing I always try and promote, especially if you're in situations where you are feeling anxious. Just touch your arm or your hand, rub your hands together, and just tell yourself, I am safe in this moment. Because that can be a really good way to stay in the body, stay in the moment, and not try and escape it, because you are safe in this moment.
Oh, love that. I love
Good.
that. And the gratitude journaling is an incredibly beneficial tip. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. And it also leads me to remember that I want to mention to everyone listening, whether you joined our 7-day gratitude meditation series last week or not, we have some exciting news, Christa and I, that we are releasing our first meditation album together. And woohoo! And it's basically those 7 days of gratitude meditations that we had built into our free 7-day meditation challenge that took place leading up to Thanksgiving. We have all of those 7 meditations available for you to purchase and download and use whenever you want. We focused on the 7 chakras. And I know for me, listening to the meditations and doing it myself, I loved having visuals of the area that we were focusing on and the energy that we were trying to cultivate, and then having gratitude for all the things associated to that was really beneficial for me. How about you, Christa? What was your experience with the gratitude meditations?
I loved hearing your voice, and I loved tuning in a way that was digestible for my daily life. So they're all under 10 minutes, and I just love being able to like check that off. That was my sacred start. So I talk about what I do in the sacred starts. So that was for those 7 days, I used that as my sacred start, and it was like 5-6 minutes of just deep breathing, tuning inward, and setting the intention for my day of, let's look for the good. Let's look for the gratitude. Let's be intentional about living proactively in a place of gratitude. And then at the end of the day, if you want to do a gratitude journal, it's just bookends of gratitude.
Yeah. So I loved when you said that. I love when you said that, because they pair so well together. I mean, even if you wanted to do them at the end of your day, also, like, do your gratitude journal and then sit down and do one of these gratitude meditations, or vice versa, do the meditation and then journal. But it's just a great way to keep your mindset focused on the positive and focused on all the things that we have to be grateful for, no matter what your life circumstances. The truth is that all of us can find something to be grateful for every single day. And the more that we focus on it, the more that I say this in at the closings of our meditations, we say, when you focus on gratitude, everything that's beautiful in your life naturally expands. And that's just the truth of it. So we'll close on that note. And thank you, Christa, for all your incredible tips and tools that you shared with us here today about, cultivating a more healthful look on the holiday season. And, just the tips and tools that will keep us in the right mindset heading into maybe some stressful scenarios in the holidays. We want everybody to, like Christa said, like show up as your truest self, show up as authentically as you possibly can. Think about those situations before you're in them, and get your plan set up for all the ways that will allow you to walk away from each situation and feel good about it. Just like Christa had said, that future journaling, I think that's huge. If you can sit there before your holidays even begin and write out all the things that you have going on, and write out exactly step by step how you would love for them to go, you're setting yourself up for success, and you're setting yourself up for just a better experience in this holiday season. So thank you, Christa. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And we will see you next time here on Wisdom Work with Christa and Christy.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.